I paid for my sister's $80,000 wedding, then she uninvited me because I was too embarrassing. My parents agreed. But as they toasted without me, my revenge trotted in and ruined all. My name is Ben. I'm 32 years old, and I just did something so petty, so unbelievably over the top, that even I can't believe it. But you know what? I regret nothing because for the first time in my life, I finally made my family feel the humiliation they've been putting me through for years. See, I own a horse ranch. It's my pride and joy. I train competition horses, breed thoroughbreds, and teach rich kids how to ride. It pays well, better than most people think, but in my family's eyes, I might as well be a farmhand rolling around in the mud. They've always been embarrassed by me. I'll never forget last Christmas. I had come straight from work, still in my jeans and boots, smelling like hay and leather. I walked into my parents' house carrying a bottle of whiskey for Dad and a wrapped present for my sister, Claire. The second I stepped inside, Claire wrinkled her nose. "Oh my God, Ben," she groaned, taking a dramatic step back. "Did you seriously come here smelling like that?" I frowned. "Like what?" "Like barn," she said, waving a hand in front of her face. "You couldn't at least shower first." My mom chuckled awkwardly, giving me a once-over. "Sweetheart, we have guests. Maybe next time you can wear something a little cleaner." I looked down at myself. My clothes were worn but clean. My boots had some dust on them. Big deal. But to them, I wasn't presentable. I was the family embarrassment. They'd whisper about me at gatherings. Why can't he get a real job? Why does he always look like he just wrestled a cow? And yet, when Claire needed money for her wedding, suddenly I was useful. It started with a simple ask. Claire had purred, linking her arm through mine during a rare family dinner. "You know I love you, right?" I tensed. Claire only said, "I love you," when she wanted something. She continued. "So, we're a tiny bit over budget for the wedding, and I was thinking—" "No," I said flatly. She gasped. "I didn't even ask yet." I crossed my arms. "You want me to pay for something, don't you?" Claire pouted. "Come on, Benny. You're doing so well with that little horse thing of yours." "A little horse thing?" Mom sighed. "Ben, don't be difficult. You know how important this day is for Claire." Dad cleared his throat. "It's family, son. We all chip in when needed." "Yeah, Ben," Claire chirped. "And since you don't have a real family of your own, it's not like you have expenses or anything." That one stung. I clenched my jaw, ready to tell them all off, but I didn't. Because deep down, some stupid part of me still wanted their approval. So, like an idiot, I paid for it all. The venue, the catering, the designer dress Claire had to have, even their honeymoon suite. And then, when the invitations went out, mine never arrived. When I asked Claire about it, she laughed. "Oh, Benny, don't take it personally," she said, not even bothering to look up from her phone. "It's just that, well, it's a black tie event, you know, super elegant. We didn't want anything, out of place." I stared at her. "I paid for it. And I love you for that," she sang. "But you know it's probably for the best. You'd hate being there anyway, all those fancy people wearing tuxedos. It's just not really your scene, right?" Mom smirked. "It's a family fellow event, honey. You understand?" I understood perfectly. They wanted my money, not me. So, I let them have their perfect wedding. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just sent them a little gift. And right as they raised their glasses to toast the happy couple, a loud honk echoed through the venue. Then someone gasped. "What's that smell?" And the grand doors swung open, revealing the present I sent in my place. I sat in my truck outside the venue, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Through the massive glass windows, I could see them. My family, my sister, my parents, all dressed in their perfect designer outfits, laughing, drinking, celebrating. A celebration I paid for, and yet I wasn't even worth an invitation. I should have seen this coming. Heck, I did see it coming, but like a fool I thought that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. It wasn't. Claire got everything she ever wanted, a perfect, elegant wedding with all the right people, all the right decorations, and all the right appearances. And me? I was simply the wallet behind it all. I exhaled sharply. No, not this time. I wasn't just going to swallow it down and walk away, letting them humiliate me again. If they thought I was too dirty, too embarrassing to be seen at their wedding, then I'd make sure they never forgot me. I pulled out my phone and made the call. 15 minutes later, the side doors of the venue creaked open. At first, no one noticed. The music was too loud, the chatter too constant. But then came the sound. Hooves against tile, a slow rhythmic clop. Clop, clop, clop. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. What the? And then the smell hit. It wasn't immediate, but it crept in. Earthy, strong, unmistakably barn-like, the kind of smell that clung to leather saddles and hay bales, something most of these people had never encountered outside of a petting zoo. A murmur spread through the crowd as the first horse stepped inside. Daisy, my youngest mare, a well-trained and calm horse, walked in first. She wasn't spooked, just curious. Her ears flicked forward, nostrils flaring as she took in the unfamiliar scents of expensive perfume and champagne. Behind her, the others followed, their hooves clicking against the polished marble floor. Claire's perfect wedding came to a screeching halt. A waiter carrying a tray of hors d'oeuvre froze in place, eyes wide. Guests in pristine tuxedos and delicate silk gowns scrambled back from the animals, their expressions torn between shock and horror. Are those horses?" someone stammered. Claire's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching it all unfold. "Well," I said, smirking. "You did say it was a family event." Claire's eyes darted to the horses, then back to me. "Get them out of here." But before I could respond, Daisy shifted her weight, and that's when it happened. A wet, heavy plop landed square in the middle of the dance floor. Dead silence. A second later, someone gagged. And that's when all hell broke loose. People tripped over themselves trying to get away. A woman in a sequin dress shrieked as one of the horses shook itself, sending bits of dried mud flying. The DJ, who had been mid-song, stopped abruptly, his jaw slapped. A few guests bolted for the exit. Claire stood frozen, her wedding dress still pristine until Daisy took a step forward. A smear of dirt and something worse streaked across the bottom of her designer gown. She let out a strangled noise, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. "Oh my God!" Mom was clutching a napkin to her nose. Dad's face was turning red. And Claire looked like she was about to combust. Then she shrieked, "What did you do?" I shrugged, just bringing a little personal touch to the wedding I paid for. Claire's face twisted in rage. "You're disgusting." I tilted my head. "I mean, I could say the same about your dress." Her scream was pure rage. "You think this is funny?" "Oh, hilarious," I said, pulling out my phone. "And so do the thousands of people watching this right now." I turned the screen toward her, showing the live stream I had started minutes ago. Her face drained of color. "No," she whispered. "Oh yes," hundreds of comments were already pouring in. "Is this real? Did that horse just do that on her dress? Ben is a legend." She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "Ah, you wanted a high-class event, Claire. Guess what? You just went viral." My mother let out a strangled gasp. "Ben, turn it off." I did not. Instead, I lifted my fingers to my lips and let out a sharp whistle. My horses turned, and then, like well-trained performers, they trotted straight out the doors, leaving behind absolute destruction. Ruined gowns, shattered glasses, a bride standing in the middle of it all. Her perfect, elegant night reduced to a complete disaster. I turned back to Claire, giving her my biggest, most satisfied grin. "Congrats on your wedding, sis," I said. "Hope it was everything you dreamed of." And with that, I walked out. I drove away from the venue, the scent of hay and leather still clinging to my clothes. Even through the rolled-up windows, I could imagine the chaos I'd left behind. Claire screaming, my mom on the verge of fainting, Dad fuming, and the guests trying to escape without ruining their overpriced designer shoes. I should have felt guilty. I didn't. I parked my truck outside my ranch, stepped out, and inhaled the crisp night air. My horses were already back in their stalls, munching on hay, completely unaware that they had just caused the most memorable wedding disaster in our town's history. I was still chuckling to myself when my phone started blowing up. I ignored the first few calls, then the texts started rolling in. "Mom, Ben, pick up the phone now." "Dad, you've humiliated this family. Unbelievable." "Claire, you're dead to me. Absolutely dead." Unknown number. "Dude, this is going viral. Are you seeing this?" That last one made me pause. I opened a link, and there it was. Claire's wedding was trending. A TikTok video captioned, "The most insane wedding disaster you'll ever see," was already at 200,000 views. I pressed play. The clip started right as Daisy made her grand contribution to the dance floor. The camera panned to the guests recoiling in horror, then zoomed in on Claire, her face twisted in fury, the bottom of her gown streaked in filth. The comment section was ruthless. "Best wedding entrance of all time, 10 out of 10. Imagine being such an awful person that your own brother sends horses to your wedding instead of attending. She deserved it. I don't even know the full story, but I can tell. The way he just casually walked away at the end? Iconic."
I snorted. At least someone appreciated my work. But my amusement was short-lived because at that moment, my phone rang again. This time, I answered. "What is wrong with you?" Claire's voice nearly shattered my eardrum. "Nice wedding," I said, smirking. "Very elegant." You ruined everything," she shrieked. "Do you have any idea what you just did? People were filming, Ben. Filming me." "Oh, I know," I said. "You're famous now." I could hear her breath hitch. "You humiliated me in front of everyone. My guests, my in-laws, Dan's family. They think I'm a joke now." I scoffed. "Claire, let's be real. They probably thought that long before today." A beat of silence. Then she let out a sound that was somewhere between a growl and a sob. "Mom and Dad are furious. They want you to apologize. They want you to fix this." I laughed. "Fix what?" The fact that I wasn't good enough to be invited, but more than good enough to pay for everything? Yeah, I think we're past the point of fixing things, Claire. "You are so selfish," she spat. "You think this is about the money? It's about family, but you wouldn't understand because you don't care about anyone but yourself." That made me pause. I gripped the phone tighter. "You really want to talk about selfishness, Claire? Because last time I checked, I was the one who handed over thousands of dollars for your dream wedding. I was the one who got used. You don't get to pull the family card now, not after treating me like dirt." "You're unbelievable," she hissed. "And you're entitled," I shot back. "You and Mom and Dad, all of you. You think I owe you something just because we share DNA? Newsflash, Claire. Family doesn't mean treating someone like garbage and expecting them to take it with a smile." Silence. For the first time ever, Claire didn't have a comeback. But then a new voice entered the call. Dan, Claire's new husband. "Ben," he said, voice low, "I don't know what's going on between you and your family, but you need to understand something. That stunt you pulled, it didn't just embarrass Claire. It embarrassed me. It embarrassed my family." "Oh, no," I said, completely deadpan. "Not your family." He exhaled sharply, clearly trying to keep his temper. "This isn't funny. My parents are furious. They think Claire and her family are completely unstable now. My mother, she's already saying that maybe this marriage was a mistake." I raised an eyebrow. "Well, that's awkward." "Ben," Dan said, his voice tight, "if you have any decency left, you'll make this right." I leaned back against my truck. "And what exactly do you think making it right looks like?" "An apology," he said. "A public apology. Claire's image is destroyed right now. Sponsors for her blog are already pulling out." "This is serious." I actually laughed. "You think I'm going to apologize?" I asked. "After the way she treated me? After the way all of them treated me?" Stan's voice turned cold. "You'll regret this, Ben." I smirked. I already regret paying for that wedding, but the horse stunt? That was worth every penny. And then I hung up. For the next 2 days, my phone was a war zone. My parents tried calling nonstop. I ignored them. Claire sent me walls of texts, alternating between furious and pathetic. "I can't believe you did this to me." "You ruined my reputation, Ben." "Mom and Dad are devastated." "Fix this." "Fine, you win." "I hope you're happy being alone." That last one almost got to me. Almost. But then, on the third day, I got a text from an unexpected number. "Dan, we need to talk. I think I made a mistake." I stared at it for a long moment, then grinning, I texted back. "Mio, trouble in paradise already?" Dan wanted to talk. That was interesting. For a guy who had just married Claire, he sure sounded like someone having second thoughts. I sat on my porch, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, staring at his message. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let him stew in whatever mess he'd married into. But another part of me, oh, I was curious. So I texted back, "Mayo, didn't take long for you to regret it, huh?" "Dan, just meet me, Ben." That's how, 2 hours later, I found myself sitting across from Dan at a small diner on the outskirts of town. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, jaw clenched, fingers tapping against the table like he was trying to hold something in. I sipped my coffee. So, what's on your mind, brother in law? Dan exhaled sharply. This isn't funny, Ben. He raised an eyebrow. Oh, I think it is. He rubbed his temples. Look, I don't like you. You don't like me. That's fine. But I need to know why you did it. I set my coffee down. You mean why I sent a few perfectly well-behaved horses to a wedding I paid for when I wasn't even invited? Dan's eye twitched. You humiliated Claire. I tilted my head. And she didn't humiliate me? You do realize she and my parents deliberately cut me out, right? After I handed over thousands for that wedding. And then she laughed in my face about it. He didn't say anything, so I leaned forward. Tell me something, Dan. When Claire told you about what happened, did she ever mention the part where I was the one who paid for everything? Silence. I smirked. Didn't think so. Dan let out a slow breath. Look, I get that Claire can be difficult. I barked a laugh. Oh, you think? But you've put us in an impossible situation, he continued, ignoring me. My mother is furious. My father thinks I married into a family of lunatics. Claire's been crying nonstop for days, and now her sponsorship deals are gone. Brands don't want to work with her because of the way she was portrayed in those videos. I shrugged. Not my problem. Dan's fingers tightened around his coffee cup. Ben, I need you to fix this. I stared at him for a long moment, then slowly leaned back. Let me get this straight. You married Claire, the woman who treated me like dirt, cut me out of my own family, and used me like an open wallet. And now you, a guy I barely know, are sitting here telling me to fix her mess? Dan clenched his jaw. Yes. I laughed. That's adorable. His face darkened. You don't understand. If this doesn't get fixed, my marriage might not survive. I took a slow sip of my coffee, savoring the moment. Then I set the cup down and looked him dead in the eye. Sounds like a you problem, buddy. Dan cursed under his breath. Ben, please. I shook my head, still smirking. No, I think I'm going to sit back and watch this whole thing crash and burn. I stood up, threw a few bills on the table, and gave him a pat on the shoulder as I walked past. Good luck with Claire, I said. You're going to need it. And then I left. For the next week, things got worse for them, at least. Claire's social media meltdown didn't help her case. She tried to play the victim, posting long rants about how she'd been betrayed by her own family, but the internet didn't buy it. The top comment on her post, "Girl, you used your own brother for money and then uninvited him. You got exactly what you deserved." Her brand deals were gone, her influencer status was tanking, and the best part, Dan started liking comments that criticized her. I nearly choked on my drink when I saw it. Claire must have seen it too, because 2 days later I got a text from my mom. Ben, your sister is devastated. You need to come over and talk. I laughed out loud. No way was I walking into that trap. But I was curious, so just for fun, I responded, Mio, suddenly I'm family again? Mom, stop being childish. We need to resolve this. Yeah, that wasn't happening, but then I got another text from Dan. Ben, I moved out. I blinked at my screen. Oh, this just got interesting. Dan moved out? I stared at his text for a long time, my mind flipping through every possible reason. Did Claire finally push him over the edge? Was it the internet backlash? Or maybe, just maybe, he finally realized what kind of person he had married. I took a deep breath, then typed back, Mio, that was fast. What happened? Dan didn't reply right away. Instead, 20 minutes later, my phone rang. I let it ring a few times before answering. If you're calling to tell me you need a place to crash, the answer is no. Dan let out a bitter laugh. I wouldn't blame you if you said that, but no. I got a hotel. I leaned back in my chair, resting my boots on the porch railing. So, what's the story? Dan sighed. It wasn't just the wedding. I mean, that was the first big slap in the face, realizing how she treated you. But after that, it was like I started seeing her clearly for the first time. I waited. She refused to take responsibility for anything, he continued. First, it was your fault for ruining the wedding. Then it was my fault for not defending her enough. Then it was her friend's fault for not protecting her image online. Then it was the brand's fault for dropping her. I smirked. So basically, it was never Claire's fault. Exactly, Dan muttered. And then last night we had this massive fight. I told her she needed to own up to what she did to you, that maybe if she actually apologized, she could start fixing things. I blinked. You told her to apologize? He let out a humorless chuckle. Yeah, stupid, right? What did she say? She called me a traitor, Dan said, voice thick with disbelief, like I was supposed to blindly back her, no matter how awful she acted. I snorted. Welcome to the family, man. Well, not anymore, he said, because when I told her I was done, you know what she said? I raised an eyebrow. Hit me. She said, and I quote, "You'll regret this. I'm the best thing that's ever happened to you." I nearly choked on my coffee. She actually said that? Oh, yeah, Dan sighed. That was the moment I knew. I packed a bag and walked out. There was a pause. Then I said, Dan, I gotta ask, why are you telling me all this? Dan exhaled slowly. Because I owe you an apology, Ben. That made me sit up a little. I treated you like the bad guy, he admitted. I bought into all the stuff Claire and your parents said about you, that you were bitter, selfish, just trying to ruin things out of spite. But after seeing how she treated me the second I stopped worshiping the ground she walked on, I heard him shake his head. She's toxic, man. Your whole family is. I let his words settle between us. Then I said, yeah, I know. 3 days later, Claire called me. I let it go to voicemail. Then my mom texted, Benjamin, answer your sister. She's heartbroken. I stared at the message for a long time. Then finally I replied, Mio, she made her bed, let her lie in it. I didn't hear from them after that. No more texts, no more calls. And for the first time in years, I felt free. No more guilt, no more expectations, no more being treated like an ATM instead of a person. I went back to my life, my horses, my business, and it was good. But then a month later, I got a letter in the mail from Dan. Inside was a short note. Ben, thanks for knocking some sense into me. Drinks on me next time you're in town. Dan. And taped to the bottom, a copy of Claire's divorce papers. I laughed so hard I nearly scared the horses.